Is this open?
Call this meeting order. Approve the minutes of the last meeting.
So move them.
All right, move on to resolutions. Authorize. The minutes. Oh,
Got a motion
sorry.
and a second.
Motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, landfill. Solid waste, authorized agreement, leachate testing, highway department.
Second.
Bill?
Okay, this is a contract with Microvac, the same contract we had last year, that they do the testing of the leachate, and they are holding the same rates as last year, and last year's was for $14,000. That's a little bit more than I think what we actually ended up using, but I think it's in there because we have the base price is around $6,200, but then there's additional testing. If any tests come back high, then there has to be additional testing done. So that's in there just not to exceed in case there are additional tests that are required. We have to come back and get another resolution. But it'll be the same terms and conditions as last year's contract.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 2, authorized agreement, environmental monitoring, highway department.
Move it.
Bill?
Second.
Okay, this is a contract with Soil and Water. They do our monitoring up at the landfill for us, and they were doing it 4 times a year, and just petitioned the DEC to only do it 3 times a year, which was just approved, I think, a couple of weeks ago. We got the letter saying that was okay. Last year's was $71,000. This year, the estimate from Soil and Water was $68,000. The reason is because they believe even though it's only 3 times a year, there may be some additional testing that's going to be required. So, and if it turns out to be less than that, that's great, because we'll only obviously pay for as much as they do. But so this year we're going to reduce to $68,000 for them to do the testing.
Any discussion?
What was budgeted?
Soil and Water, they budget so much for this testing that they do. I mean, we pay for it, but they tell us how much it's going to be.
No, I know, how much did we budget for service? Oh, we're at it. What did?
I would think that it probably would have been the same amount as last year, because
Which
we
was the 71?
71, because we didn't have any information differently.
We didn't reduce it in the budget.
Didn't reduce?
We did not make any reductions in the budget based on the reduced testing.
Okay, so it's still at the 71?
I don't know that.
You don't know that. And, I'm sorry, back to the first one, was that, there's no amount in that first resolution. There's account numbers.
Oh, yes, if you look at, I'm sorry, there should have been a blank there, because I didn't get the information from Microvac in time to put it in here. But if you look at the resolved paragraph,
Right.
it says, 4th line down, report preparation for the Cortland County landfill for an estimated cost of, and right there it should say $14,000.
Okay.
There should have been a blank line there. I apologize for that.
Can that be amended?
Yes, I will add that.
And on this other one, that is amended. Thank you.
All right, negative, secret. Oh, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Go to agenda item number 3, secret negative declaration, adoption of Cortland County local solid waste management plan.
Move it.
Second.
Discussion.
And discussion.
The League of Women Voters of Cortland County did distribute a document asking the committee to consider an amendment to that before voting on it. The amendment would just simply clarify that the ash for trash proposal, which is part of that local solid waste management plan, has positive declaration. So that's the language you see here, several
Be under
sections
consideration.
of that amendment.
I have John or Jillian.
John?
Sure.
Jillian, please
Yes, could you
come
come on?
forward.
So
If
regarding
you
the,
would please go over this.
Get up to smack me if I say something. Regarding the solid waste management plan, we've received, worked with the DEC, and we've received a letter from the department saying it's an approvable plan. So the next step would be to go through and do the SEQR on it, which we provided negative declaration, and then once it goes through the full legislature and we have a resolution, it gets packaged back up and goes back to the department. We'll receive a letter back from them saying, okay, this is the final plan, it expires on X, and your first compliance report is due on this date. So it'll kick into motion all those items that are listed in the plan, and you guys will have to start, providing your 2-year compliance reports to the department. So you're going to start tracking the data that's in there and getting things moving.
Well, Resolution 3 and 4 are packaged, right? The one is to declare a negative declaration, and the other is to approve the plan itself.
Yep.
And it's amazing that we got approval this quick. I know the DEC has drags their feet a lot on approving proposals. We don't have one in place like that.
That's correct. Your plan expired a while back, and most of the plans in the state did expire because they were all on similar timelines, and so the department's been backed up issuing plans, reviewing plans. They've sort of organized the plan review based on projects and pending permits. So obviously with the ash for trash being proposed, your plan sort of got moved up the list as something that they would like to review. So that's why it moved a little faster than some other planning units.
Any other discussion from the committee?
This is item 3. Yes.
Yes.
Now, in terms of the comments that have been made, we have ordered a seeker on ash for trash to determine its
Correct.
impact on the environment.
Correct.
And that's what the amendment would state.
You've not been spoken to speak. I'm going to have to ask you to refer to the chair. I'm sorry, John, what did you say?
So you're correct. I mean, that ash for trash, the proposed ash for trash partnership is in the solid waste management plan as a recommendation to study, is a priority to study. And that's being handled separate from the plan itself. So the plan is, you need this plan whether or not, the partnership went through or not.
Right.
So,
All the ash for trash was a component that might
correct.
come through with the swamp.
Right.
The swamp is what we have to
And if
have.
it comes through, if it does go through, then you would need to, you're gonna explain that to the department as part of your compliance reports.
That
And,
is-
yeah, where you are with each of your different tasks of the plan.
Any other comments from the committee? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, adopt the Cortland County Solid Waste Management Plan.
I'll move it.
Any discussion?
Where is it?
Where is it?
The solid waste management plan has been in process for, well, how many months now?
It's ash for trash.
Again, I'm gonna have to say,
That's
if
right.
you do this again,
Any
you're
more
gonna.
outbursts, I will ask people to leave the room. Okay? This will be a controlled meeting. Thank you.
So the final plan, so you guys have reviewed the draft plan, we've been back and forth with the department, made changes to the plan, the department's approved them. We provided the plan to Jeremy, the final plan at this point.
The plan is in the agenda packet that went out. The DEC has already submitted it, along with the letter from the DEC that has said that the plan is approvable at this point.
When did that
The agenda and the plan went out on Sunday. There were no significant changes from the draft that was submitted 2 months ago to the DEC and approved by this committee.
And the internet service to legislators has been out in my computer for 4 days. I haven't seen this. Now, maybe it's up and running this morning.
But we weren't making any real changes to
This is
I don't refute what you're saying. That there has been some internet problems plaguing the county, not just this week, but for several months, off and on. However, this plan is the exact same plan that was submitted and approved by this committee to the DEC 2 to 3 months ago. There's been no significant changes. And the DEC has responded, and that letter is also in your packet, stating that the plan is an approvable plan.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I thank them for their post.
Can we, just a question, 2 or 3 months ago, we decided, not through a vote, but we decided to post a timeline, proposed timeline, on when different items relating to actual trash were to be expected. And that would be updated monthly, so that we could, and these change, just like it has changed over the last year, of when things are due, and we kind of all agreed to that, I understood. And we didn't see it last month, and I don't see it this month. And I'm just kind of curious, I mean, we're getting this report now, and we're supposed to act on this with momentary review, if at all. And where does this stuff show up on any kind of a timeline or plan? I don't object to moving ahead or reviewing certain things, but I kind of like to know before 11 o'clock that it's no criticism of any one individual. I understand there's certain things that need to be done, but I'd kind of like to know what's going to happen next month or the month after, before we actually step into the meeting. Again, don't take this as criticism of you, Tom. It isn't meant that way. But can we possibly have some kind of a warning or foresight as to what's going to happen in January or February or so forth without it being sprung on us quite this way? Seems like a little planning or foresight. If anybody takes exception or feels like I'm picking on them, but that isn't meant that way. I just want information. I just want to know so that I'm not blindsided. Because I've had people call me over the weekend. Are you going to be approving this? I said, I don't know what you're even talking about. I have no clue what you're going to be voting on anything. We have to, it has to be brought up to committee before we can, before we can do anything. And here we are, now, moving on stuff we just barely have time to think about.
I do take exception to that, Jim. at least for the last 2 months, I've given this committee an update, and while I agree there's not been a solid calendar that's gone out that is likely to be amended, I've given this committee an update every month. In fact, in September and October, I indicated that this DEIS would be coming at the November committee meeting.
So when's next?
When did you get it?
The next step after this, pending approval by the county legislature, will be a 45-day public comment period. And the scheduling, as you'll notice in the resolution, does schedule for a public hearing December 18th.
And then final vote.
Well, after that 45-day public comment period, and I'm sure that John and or Pat could talk to a little bit better about this, Barton and the Jews will have to go back and address all of the comments that came in individually. Following that, they'll compile all those and make any necessary changes to the draft environmental impact statement, and the county will have another opportunity, both Cortland and Onondaga County will have an opportunity to adopt the final environmental impact statement.
Where do we stand in relation to Onondaga County? Are they moving ahead on this?
Yes, they are.
We're on the same schedule.
We're in
Yep.
the
If you recall, this was delayed due to, Onondaga County was in the process of the budget. And so things did slow down to accommodate theirs, and quite frankly, it helped us because we were very involved with our budget as well. So they are basically on the same schedule as we.
They will be meeting November 12th with their environmental committee, and they'll be meeting November 24th with their Ways and Means committee for the DEIS review. And then their full legislature will actually meet December 2nd, so about a week and a half, 2 weeks after our legislature to adopt the exact same thing.
I would like to make an amendment that's just stating that it goes in front of the full legislature.
Absolutely.
Everybody second that.
Which resolution is that, Mr. Fletcher?
Number 5.
Number 5?
Yeah. Got to put that one, yeah.
Could I
Yeah,
correct
that
something
makes
too, Tom? Could I address the committee?
No, I sent you an email saying that we don't have time, we got a full agenda, and that is.
Onondaga County has taken no
All right.
I'm
action
gonna ask
on
you
the
to,
final
I asked
scope.
you very kindly
Please leave.
to
Please
please listen to our rules of order. Please, I'm gonna ask you to either sit or leave. All right, number 5, resolution determining the draft environmental impact.
Don't move it.
EIS for the proposed regional solid waste partnership under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, Cortland County acting as co-lead with Onondaga County and be adequate in terms of scope, content, Farmers Public Review. Pursuant to SEQR authorizing the publication, circulation, service, and filing of the DEIS documents calling for a public hearing.
I'll move it.
Second. And
Okay, now you have an
And
amendment.
yep, Mr. Sudbrink has made an amendment or a motion to amend the resolution to reflect the proposed language that the League of Women Voters has submitted to you today, indicating that this resolution will go forward to the full legislature.
absolutely.
And it's been seconded by Ms. Knowles.
All in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Discussion, Jim?
Sure. So, we worked with both, Cortland and Onondaga County and Okra to develop the draft environmental impact statement based off the final scoping document. The draft environmental impact statement, also known as the DEIS, is split up into different sections, which are related to one, impacts to just Cortland County, combined impacts, and then as well as impacts to Onondaga County. So the document is split up into those different sections. We go through basically the outline we've been discussing for quite a few months here, regarding traffic, transportation. We've done a traffic analysis for the proposed haul route from Okra's facility down to the landfill. Worked with the DOT on that. The DOT's reviewed it and has concurred with it. We've worked on a leachate treatment analysis as well, which I know was one of the big concerns We looked at different ash leachate results from different ash disposal facilities across the state, compared it to the existing landfill leachate data. We've met with both the city of Cortland wastewater treatment plant as well as city of Auburn wastewater treatment plant, which is your backup facility. And they have both concurred with the analysis that they would be able to continue to accept the leachate as the landfill transitions over to an ash, primarily an ash monofill. We've also looked at air resources as well. Overall, joint for the project, even with additional waste going to the waste energy facility in Onondaga County, the net balance is for the good on the project and for the environment. The emissions at the Cortland County landfill will obviously be decreasing because we will be removing the degradable waste from the waste mass. So we have an analysis in the document showing the different gas generation curves for the landfill, explaining, how it'll be shifting. Let's see what I go through. Stormwater, went through the analysis of stormwater with the development of the new transfer station. We will have to construct a new stormwater management system for the transfer station area, which will consist of a 4-bay and new stormwater pond to control the runoff from that site. So we will have to amend your industrial stormwater permit that you currently have off at the landfill. So you'll have another sampling location as part of the new transfer station location. We've also packaged up the Part 360 permit application that would be submitted to the New York State DEC for approval of the transfer station. And in there, it relies on a lot of the same studies that were done in the EIS, but it also takes the engineering analysis of the landfill to look at when we start landfilling the ash, what would the effects be on the leachate piping to make sure it has the proper structural integrity, the landfill liner system to make sure it can hold the ash properly. We looked at the different changes in operations, and we updated the operations and maintenance manual for the landfill facility for both landfill operations, and then also amended it for the transfer station operations. Same thing with the contingency plan, which was quite outdated for your facility. You were still operating off a pretty old contingency plan, so we've updated that to include, to account for new contingencies, but we also brought some new things online for the landfill as well. So that's the general summary. We also have permit documents, drawings that show the transfer station layout, the grading plan for the transfer station, the stormwater ponds, the engineering report that accompanies that explains the traffic flow at the site, how the ash will be received, weighed in, how those trucks will be loaded back out. And it basically goes by, right by the Part 360 regulations for what's required for a transportation permit application. So that's all sort of packaged together. Some of the alternatives we've looked at in the DEIS were listed in the final scoping document. Everything from, doing solid waste composting to gasification process to basically continue to what you're doing, no change in doing the partnership, to not doing the partnership and just looking at flow control as its own on its own. We've also included in the DEIS as part of the main proposed action flow control for Cortland County to be combined with the ash for trash proposal. So that was also looked at, included in the DEIS. So that's the overall summary of what's in there. Overall, we found no significant concerns with the proposal on the environmental end. So that's it in summary.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Again, some people are having trouble getting the document, being able to view it. Is there going to be a link on your site?
That's been posted, yes.
It has been posted?
Yes.
Okay. And, And there will be one posted on the county website.
Yep, that went up on the Barton and the Judas website this morning. Thank you, Jillian, for getting that up. And a notice will go out to all members of the public, a press release, and both Onondaga County and Cortland County will be referring people to the Barton and the Judas site, so it's all on one
Yeah,
location.
we have that separate partnership website. I just want to make sure everyone understands, this is a review copy of the draft environmental impact statement. So, you know, it's pending approval by both counties, and then once it's approved, all the review, there's a lot of, you know, review copies stamped on this document. Once it's reviewed, we actually have to fill out the front page of that. It states, you know, when it was approved by the legislatures, the co-lead agencies, when the public comment period ends, all that good stuff. We have to post it to the MP. We will be reposting this without all the review draft stamps on it, and that would be the actual public review copy. But right now, it's available. It'll be available for the public and for both counties to review until voted on, and then we will update it.
And in addition to that, I believe by the end of the week, we'll also have a hard copy here down the hall in my office, so that members of the public and or legislators that don't want to sit at a computer and read these hundreds of pages can also come in and take a look at it.
Any discussion?
I just wanted to comment that this committee note on this committee was planning on railroading this through today. I'm glad the league brought this, this resolution amendment, and Charlie sponsored it today, because we do want this to go to the full legislature. I guess we do have the authority as a committee just to approve it ourselves, but you know, no one wants to do that. We want the whole legislature to do that.
Not our intentions.
Yeah, and obviously set up a comment time, so we can start moving on the project or the DEIS. And my only, I guess, thing about this is right now it's tentatively set for December 18th at 5 o'clock, and we have a legislative session at 6. So I don't know if 1 hour would give us enough time to, for the public hearings. I know that's not set yet, but it is part of the resolution.
It is part of the resolution, and there is a window of time that you have to schedule a public hearing. It does not necessarily need to be on December 18th at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
We have some wiggle room there. If there's a better time, that'll work.
I think you may want to consider a time to vote it to pass.
Absolutely.
Not combining with the legislature.
No, that's what I'm
I
saying.
think it should be its own public hearing.
I agree.
So,
Maybe you do it the week before.
We can certainly amend this time at the legislative meeting on the 20th, right?
Yes.
So we can.
I just want to say that some people, I guess, feel that sometimes we should stop things dead in their tracks at a committee meeting. But if you think about it, there's only at best 5 of us in a committee meeting. So for some things, what gives 5 people the right to say that the other 12 should not have the opportunity to look at this? I don't think that that is the right thing to do. And whether or not I agree with some of the things, I think it's only right to vote yes, to let the rest of the legislature have the opportunity to vote on it. Because it's saying, hey, we've decided we're more important, and your other 12 don't need to read it. You guys don't need to bother voting on it, we did it for you. And I don't think that's what any of us are intending to do with this. It's something that the entire legislature needs to vote on, and the thing is, if you even go further, if the legislatures, if we do not vote on it, then no one else gets to see it. If we say no, there is no public comment, there is no voice, people don't get to tell us what they think is wrong or what they want to change. So if we don't say yes, here, we're going to vote it in, then all the people in this room that get the opportunity to say something, that opportunity will be taken from you. And I don't think that's right. So I think we need to say yes so that that opportunity is put out there for everyone else.
Well said.
well said.
Assuming that both Cortland and Onondaga County legislatures approve this, the public comment period would allow for a public hearing sometime between December 16th and January 6th. which is so you have some wiggle room there.
Yeah.
It is the holiday season, so, but keep that in mind. That's December 25th.
All right, are we ready to vote?
Yep.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Item
Aye.
Yes.
The Women's League of Women's Voters also handed me appears to be a FOIL appeal. And it's all on documents that are being handled by a different attorney for the county, because they're all documents relative to the solid waste ban. And therefore, I'm asking the committee to allow me to provide this to the attorney who's doing the work on this, to respond to this. Because I haven't been involved in the meetings to say whether or not the reason the denial was made is appropriate, that they're attorney-client privilege, their work product, or whatever, because I'm not involved in it.
I think that's reasonable advice.
Okay,
So I would do that after.
all right, let's go to item number 6, household hazardous waste highway department.
Move it.
All right, this is approved for us to submit an application to DEC for the household hazardous waste for next year. Same as we've done in previous years.
Ready to vote on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Number 7, authorized amendment of the 214 transportation safe disposal of hazardous waste agreement highway department.
Move it.
Second.
Okay, this is for this year's household hazardous waste, and the contract that we had with CARE was for a maximum of $7,000, although our permit allows us up to $9,800. And the amount that came in, the cost per vehicle or per load that comes in, it came out to $395 more than the $7,000. So we did take in $395 more. So this is a request to amend their contract or, to allow us to pay them the other $395 that was taken in. It is 50% covered as far as the DEC pays half of it. So that's what this is
So
for.
a couple $100.
So it's basically a couple $100.
Well, what does our contract say? Was our contract 7,000?
Per vehicle.
Yeah, so what we should have done is we should have cut them off. In other words,
Should have cut them on.
when we hit 7,000, we should have said no more and turned people away. So the last few people that came in with their, I don't know how many vehicles it was, but we would have said, no, we hit our limit, we got to take your hazardous waste back home.
I mean, I don't want
They should have stopped it. Right? The vendor should have said,
Right,
that's all folks. But they didn't, they continued to take it. It's up to the county.
right.
I don't want to turn anybody away.
Right, I mean, especially household hazardous waste. I mean,
Can you imagine what happens to it if we
This is a business
Well,
that does this, and why did they present a contract? It's minimal, but I think the
it's
next
minimal,
time.
but I think, right, exactly.
The
The
next
next time,
contract.
there should be
Yeah,
something in the contract
To
to
accommodate.
accommodate it.
Right, and I think, I mean,
This could go on.
I agree. And
And
in my
it could go higher.
opinion, yeah, I think for the next year, if we were approved for $9,800 by DEC, we should put something more than what we just hit. Put in
Right.
8,000, we could
Right.
put the whole 9,800 in.
Exactly.
You know, that
If we
way,
don't get
if they
it.
don't hit it, we don't pay it.
Right.
And if, you know, so we don't have to come back and say, hey, another $395 to pay.
Yes,
Okay.
sounds good.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Mr. Gale.
Sitting over there quiet.
All I really have is just a report on how many tons we did. For the month of October, we did just under 300, about 295. Also, the electronics is really still chugging away like you wouldn't believe. We've shipped out smaller loads, but we shipped out 4 trailer loads of electronics last month, so still going strong. Batteries are still going, still quite a few coming in. That's about it.
Okay, and the other thing I wanted to add, John, is that we are looking to possibly in January present a resolution for a contract at tires. Add that to his contract, so that probably will happen. I think the plan was we'd like to see that go into effect in January.
Right, January.
Okay.
So that'll be something, the proposal and resolution we bring forward next month. So,
Correct.
okay.
Have anything?
A couple months ago, I submitted a report.
Yes, you did.
Yep. I just wondered if anybody taken the time to read it or not.
I would, we had such a full agenda. I would love to put it on December for you. I think it's something that needs to be looked
It
at,
doesn't require any action on our part.
but it needs a
It's more-
discussion.
Needs a discussion.
It does.
I hope that's what it
And
will
does everybody remember the recycling? Okay? I promise you, it will be in, because I think it needs to be discussed.
Especially in relation to.
everything.
The trash and everything.
Everything should be on the table, and it's all part of it. So, Jeremy, please, we'll put that on.
And I want to thank John for taking the time
And if I could
to
add,
do that.
I still have a tank full of gas. If anybody wants to, just let me know. I got one left.
Anybody that wants to see a class operation, talk to John, and you'll be very surprised at how professional it can be if we put half of money for it.
There's nothing else?
I said a couple of discussion things just to bring up, just to, if I may.
Sure.
Okay. The one is that up at the landfill, we are having signs made for the new fees for the tires. And I understand too that we're also in the process of upgrading. I wasn't aware of this, that we have to actually upgrade the software of the scales to punch in the tires that will give the right price. So that's being done, and I understand it's an easy process, so that should happen very quickly. And I also understand too that there hasn't been an influx of tires coming in, like anything out of the ordinary. And we also, that detention pond that was written up, DEC pointed out to us that it needed to be dredged. That's completed, so that's been taken care of. We just have to put the new standpipe in, and that should happen in the next week or so. And the last thing was the communication problems right now. We're having, I don't know if you're all aware, but we have communication problems up at the landfill. They have no internet, no telephone, no email. So we are communicating with cell phone, and I understand they tried to, it's a connection between county office building and Virgil Tower, and I understand that they're working on that. And in the meantime, we're getting by, and we're doing, the scales are working and everything, so we're still, operation is still being maintained as usual, so there isn't any, we're not, we're working around it, okay, in the meantime. Until communication gets reestablished.
I was just curious about something. I know a few months back we were talking about, especially when it came to recycling and everything else, about the education side. And we were talking about possibly thinking of doing maybe presentations at elementary schools so they could learn more. Does anyone know if it, or have ever heard of actually letting kids see like what a landfill actually is, or see how things are actually recycled? Give them a better visual. Yeah, field trips. They really need more field trips. They sit at desks all day.
Yeah, the high school in McGraw, there's a teacher there that in the past has taken some kids out, I don't know, maybe like 7 or 8 in a van, and in the past it was Don Chambers, would go around and give them a tour at her request, her class. She's also requested that this year as well, so we're planning on doing the same thing. But that's somebody reaching out, saying, hey, can you do this for us?
where it should come from, I
I would think that's where it would come from, but it wouldn't hurt to reach out and let them know that it's available. You know,
I mean, obviously not kids that
different
are
schools.
too young, but just
Right.
old enough to where
Right.
they're still young
Well,
enough
junior
that
high
they,
school, or, you
yeah.
know, and, you know,
because the younger, I mean, the younger they are, the more easily they will hold on to that information
right,
and actually keep doing it
Grow
as they
with
get
it.
older.
right.
Because sometimes by the time you get to high school, you're like, yeah, I don't care anymore.
Quick numbers, no, I think it's
Exactly.
a good thought.
I think you could call some schools, you
Yeah,
can take it upon
tell them that,
yourself
yeah.
and say, gee, have you ever thought about doing this? And
Yeah,
then they could arrange it with highway, I think it's a good idea.
because I know I've talked to my daughter, she's only 6, but her school, I've noticed the schools do really well with recycling paper, but they don't always recycle plastic or anything else. So I was also thinking of maybe approaching her school with maybe, do you want to try doing plastics? Because she has, sometimes she'll take something plastic with like juice or something in it, and it'll just get thrown in the garbage. But it's something that could be recycled.
That's really true up at Cortland State. I teach up there and they do a great job with the paper, but the kids will just throw the plastics and stuff right into the garbage.
Like water bottles, juice bottles, all of it just gets tossed in the garbage.
Yeah, something needs to be really done there.
I proposed 3 or 4 months ago that we have representatives from each school come in and do from the legislature, do a demonstration of a typical day's garbage of a family. And inside that bag, which would be appropriately weighed for an average family of 4 or whatever, and inside there would be baggies of different substances, cans, plastic, whatever, so it's not dirty. You just reach in, pull out a bag, and each student put it in a category where it could be recycled. And then when you're done, what's left, with composting and everything else, what's left is what actually go in the landfill, okay? That would not only bring legislators up to date on how the possible ramifications of recycling and how much it could save us in space at the landfill, but also as a representative of each school that then can go out as an advocate for recycling in their own school and more or less do the same program or something similar to the students, because you're not going to teach people my age to do recycling unless you just reject a load of garbage when it comes up to the landfill. The education starts with those kids in the school. So, I'd be happy to proceed with that. I brought it up several months ago, and you mentioned about doing recycling. I've done that. I'd be happy to coordinate with some of the schools and see if they could bring a volunteer from each school in the county and come to the legislature and be a photo op maybe for the papers or whoever. Good idea. Make it more public. I'll do it. Tell me to do it. I'll do it. Do it. Yeah, I'll do it.
Do it, Joe. Anything else? All right, meeting is adjourned.
Thank you.